Cameras are an integral part of a smartphone. They have almost completely phased out the point and shoots that were once used quite heavily. But are all smartphones capable of delivering great photos? What is the difference between a flagship smartphone's camera and that of a budget phone's camera? You're watching India Today Tech, and in this video we'll compare the camera of Redmi 4, which is a budget smartphone that comes at Rs 7,000, with that of Samsung Galaxy S8 that comes at Rs 57,000. Galaxy S8's rear camera has a 12 megapixel dual pixel sensor with an f1.7 lens and optical image stabilization. It has face detect autofocus, has auto HDR and can shoot in manual mode. The sensor is from Sony with 1.5 micrometer pixel size. On the other hand, Redmi 4 has a 13 megapixel sensor with a narrow aperture f2.0 lens. There is no optical image stabilization, but there is face detect autofocus. There is also HDR, but it isn't automatic. Outdoors, the Redmi 4 captures good amount of details. There is noise in the photos, but it looks quite in level with the S8, capturing great amount of details. That is quite surprising for a smartphone and this segment. Though it saturates the colors to make it appear more appealing to the eyes, you know that when you compare the actual scene with the shot. Though Galaxy S8 isn't too great when it comes to accuracy either, but it gets fairly close. The Redmi 4 also has a narrow lens and aperture compared to the S8, which means it will have narrow frame and could struggle in low light. The low light experience of most cameras aren't good in this price range of Redmi 4. Photos taken by S8 on the other hand look better as they are in sharp focus and are bright. But more pixels on the sensor does mean capturing better details sometimes. On extreme zoom you will find Redmi 4 captures more details. The text is quite legible in the photo taken from Redmi 4, while it looks gibberish on the Galaxy S8. Redmi 4 also does a good job at creating bokeh effects. Though macro shots would need some distance, background blur is quite nice on the Redmi 4. Galaxy S8 obviously does a better job, but you can get that photo in one go. On Redmi 4 you will need some focus adjustment, touch again and again to refocus, and click and check if the shot wasn't blurred while pressing the shutter. You may need to take several trial shots before you get your final shot in situations like this. Galaxy S8 also has tremendously fast shutter. Even in HDR mode, the camera clicks in blink of a second and experience is smooth and you get sharp photos in one go almost always. Redmi 4 also has HDR mode and it takes surprisingly nice shots. In fact, the whole photo is made vibrant, but it takes much more time to take the photo. So it's not surprising that Samsung Galaxy S8's camera is way ahead of that of the Redmi 4 because, well, of course, there's a huge difference between their sensors and the hardware used in the phone. But what is surprising is that Redmi 4, being a budget phone, can also take good photos. With slight persistence and a very firm hand, you can take photos that weren't possible with the budget phones a few years ago. And that itself shows the evolution of the cameras on our smartphones.